Megaphobia is the premier roller coaster in all of Wales. Located at Oakwood, this is a CCI layout with a good mix of airtime and laterals. This ride also bears a lot of resemblance to Rampage at Alabama Splash Adventure. In this video, I will compare these two rides and go in depth what you can expect if you go out to ride Megaphobia. Oakwood opened back in 1987. For its first decade, it was a smaller park with attraction offerings more akin to a family entertainment center. After adding the Snake River Falls water slide in 1994, the park saw a sizable attendance increase, so they decided to transform themselves into a full-fledged amusement park. The park contracted Custom Coasters International, or CCI, to build a new wood coaster. Originally, the coaster was conceived as a smaller, more family-oriented attraction, but CCI offered Oakwood a tantalizing proposition. CCI would build Oakwood a larger, high-thrill wood coaster for a severely discounted rate of £1.7 million, or $2 million US. This was a win-win for both the park and manufacturer. Oakwood jumped at the opportunity to add the most substantial ride ever erected in Wales. This led to Megaphobia, which opened in 1996. This was the park's second roller coaster, and it led to a large attendance boom for Oakwood, allowing the park to pass 500,000 visitors for the first time. It also worked out for CCI. Through the mid-1990s, every single one of CCI's wood coasters was located in the United States. They wanted something overseas to showcase their rides to prospective European clients. Megaphobia's success gave CCI the exposure they sorely wanted. In 1997, they were hired to build 3 different wood coasters in Europe, most notably Tunnel de Zeus at Parc Asterix. Then in 1998, they built a near clone of Megaphobia at a brand new theme park in Alabama known as Visionland. This ride would be none other than Rampage. This coaster's layout was nearly identical to Megaphobia, but the ride was made nearly 20% larger. For its first few years, Megaphobia routinely placed in the top 10 for wood coaster polls. This included a top 5 finish at Amusement Today's Golden Ticket Awards in 1998, and back-to-back first-place finishes in the Mitch Hawker poll. Flash forward 2 decades. The ride was still the premier attraction at Oakwood, but it was becoming rough. So the park hired Gravity Group in 2023 to conduct a large refurbishment. At a cost of $2 million, 40% of the track was replaced. But this was so much more than a basic retrack. A few elements were also reprofiled to add more airtime. The first drop was made steeper, a double down was added to the first camelback, and a double up was added to the second camelback. Local enthusiasts said this restored the ride to its former glory. This is how I experienced Megaphobia, as my only rides on the coaster took place in 2024. Now I do need to note that my visit took place on an extremely windy day. The UK had just been hit with the remnants of Hurricane Ernesto, and the area was still experiencing 20 to 30 mph sustained winds and gusts up to 40 to 45 miles per hour. Oakwood amazingly had all their coasters operating, including Megaphobia, but there were 2 impacts. First, Megaphobia was unfortunately running a bit sluggish. The coaster was moving slower than usual on the turnarounds in the second half. Second, and related to the last item, the ride was operating with a minimum rider requirement to ensure the trains would not stall. At least half the train had to be filled. On the bright side, this meant that riders were often being asked to remain in their seats and re-ride. This was much appreciated because it expedited dispatches. It also gave me plenty of laps on the coaster, and it saved me a walk through this coaster's long queue. Although the queue does offer some great views of the coaster, you have this picturesque shot of the first drop alongside a lake. It looks huge because of the placement. The rest of the layout is blocked by trees and the ride's dense brown support structure, but you can catch glimpses of the ride and hear the screams of happy riders. The day I visited, Megaphobia was a total walk-on all day long. The park admits just enough people into the station to fill the next train. You can then select any open row. If the row you want has already been taken, you can wait in the queue for the next train. I thought the front and back cars offer the best ride experiences. If I had to pick one, I had a slight preference for the back. All rows offer nice laterals, but the airtime was best on the ends of the train. From what I've gathered, this coaster usually has a minimal wait on weekdays, but I have heard it can build up a queue if you visit on summer Saturdays, particularly when they're running their After Dark event. While you may have to queue longer, you do get the rare opportunity to experience this coaster at night. I've heard it's a very good night ride because a majority of the layout is set back on an isolated hill. The main reason queues can build up on busy days is because this coaster typically uses just one train. It originally had 2 trains, but I'm not even sure if the second is available anymore. Every trip report I've seen from this park in recent years cites 1 train operations. The train does hold a decent amount of people at least. It holds a max of 24 riders, as each train is comprised of 6 cars with 2 rows of 2. And dispatches, for me at least, were timely. This was impressive because there was just one operator working the ride. They had to check the gates, every single restraint, and dispatch the train. The biggest delay on the day I visited was understandably waiting for enough riders to satisfy that minimum rider requirement, which again was caused by the wind. This coaster uses PTC trains. Riders are secured by individual seatbelts, and the company's now standard L-shaped lap bars. These are individual ratcheting restraints. I believe this was the first CCI coaster to start off with this restraint system. All their prior coasters originally opened with single-position buzz bars, although a few such as Raven at Holiday World and Cyclops at Mount Olympus have since switched to these more restrictive individual restraints. Megaphobia's crew does not push the restraints down too hard, but they can lower during the coaster if you let them, so my advice is to hold onto the restraint once checked if you want to get the most airtime. Once dispatched, you turn left out of the station and ascend the 85-foot or 26-meter tall lift hill. This faces away from the park towards a nearby resort. Once at the top, you have a 180-degree leftward turn that offers a beautiful view overlooking the park. Then, the action begins. Megaphobia kicks things off with a fantastic first drop. This is the main reason I slightly prefer the back car. There, you get great sustained flagector airtime the whole way down. Not only is it forceful, but it also has a terrifying visual. The pullout leads to a leftward curve, and it feels like you'll charge right on through the track into the lake. This offers some fun laterals, and then it leads to a large camelback. This starts as a traditional hill, but it leads to that aforementioned double down. You get a really good ejector pop over the top and front. Then, the second dip on the double down offers a little airtime there. In back, you get weak but very sustained floater over the crest. Then the second dip offers a decent burst of floater. This leads to a turnaround. Surprisingly, there is no airtime on the entry, but the turn offers notable laterals. They are solid and sustained throughout, but then there's a sudden, distinct, and strong lateral jolt as you're exiting the element. The drop off this turnaround is another standout moment in the back. This also offers great flagector airtime as you are really thrown down it. This leads to the second camelback, which again was modified to have a double up on the entry. The initial hump offers okay floater in front and a pinch of airtime in back, but it's most notable for the scary head chopper. Then everyone gets even better airtime over the top. It is good floater in front. The airtime is weaker in magnitude in back, but a bit more sustained. This leads to the second turnaround. Those up front get a solid burst of ejector on the entry. You then have two 90-degree rightward turns, broken up by a section of straight track. This part did feel sluggish, but those turns still dish out solid, albeit brief lateral jolts because they are mostly unbanked. The drop off this element offers weak but plentiful floater and back. Then you are suddenly and forcibly slammed back down to your seat. This leads to another camelback. This offers decent floater in front. It is a bit quirky in back. There, the airtime is a bit delayed, but you do get a quick, okay pop in the descent. Then this too slams riders back into their seats. Next is another turnaround. It did not offer any negative Gs for me in any row. I think the speed loss really started to impact the ride here, but the entries and exits were rather gradual anyway. The turn did offer some solid laterals throughout though, again because of the relaxed banking. This leads to a bunny hill. There is zero airtime, but the descent banks left. This is a very sudden maneuver you cannot see coming. This results in a strong lateral kink, particularly in the back row as you are pulled on through it. Then comes the fourth and final turnaround. This has weak floater in the entry. The turn itself was really slow for me, but it again offered some fine laterals due to the minimalistic banking. The X is a decently large drop, but it is rather shallow and it feels more like a ramp, so it sadly offers no airtime. The exit sharply banks right, which offers some laterals at least. Next is a super elongated bunny hill. This offers a very weak pop of airtime for all. This leads directly into a curved bunny hill. No airtime, but this has some awesome laterals for all. They are stronger in front, but a bit more sustained in back. Then you hit the first set of brakes and come to a stop. When the brakes release, the train then rounds a corner and cruises through another brake run uninhibited. You build up a bit more speed than you may expect here. So the final turn to the station, which is totally unbanked, actually offers some light laterals. You then come to a stop, ending the 2,956 foot or 901 meter long experience. In terms of comfort, Megaphobia is very smooth. Much of that can be attributed to the Gravity Group's recent work in this coaster, which included some of their pre-cut track, which should hold up better over time. Hopefully the ride remains smooth this time around and does not get rough again in the future. Then in terms of pacing, Megaphobia was good overall. The first half felt perfect. It did feel rather slow in the turns and finale, but I again need to emphasize this may have been a byproduct of the high winds the day I visited. Those are not the normal conditions for the area. I think this took away some of the airtime in the second half, but the turns, even while slower, still offered notable laterals due to their lack of banking, so I was still engaged at all times. I mentioned at the start that this coaster is a very similar layout to Rampage. Based off my rides, I think Rampage is the better pacing and even better forces. Megaphobia has better airtime in the first half, but Rampage maintains its speed better throughout the experience. I think the added height may cause that in all conditions, but this was exasperated for me when I rode Megaphobia due to the winds. This results in even better laterals on Rampage, and I also think Rampage has far stronger airtime in the second half. I think this is a combination of the added speed, additional drop height, and sharper profiling. As a result, I prefer that coaster based off my rides. The final thing I want to note is that you may have the opportunity to buy a piece of this ride. As with many rides, you exit through a gift shop, but unlike most parks, you can actually purchase used ride parts and pieces there, and they are affordably priced. So, what would I rate Megaphobia? I would give this coaster an 8 out of 10. This is a great wood coaster. The layout is really strong, dabbling in a bit of everything. I love the first drop, and there are some great spots of airtime in the first half. While the airtime and pacing is dialed back a bit in the second half, this coaster is nice and plentiful laterals throughout. And keep in mind, I rode this coaster in some of the least desirable conditions and it still delivered a fun-filled and forceful ride. That is why I think Megaphobia makes Oakwood worth visiting if you're a fan of wood coasters. This is definitely one of the best wood coasters in the United Kingdom. I prefer Grand National because of the more violent airtime, but that is admittedly a much, much rougher ride. I think Megaphobia is the country's most well-rounded wood coaster, and it very well could be the country's best wood coaster if you experience it in better conditions than I did. That is why I'm looking forward to returning to this park one day in the future. I suspect it could only move up in my ranks if it's running better. So those are my thoughts on Megaphobia at Oakwood. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Have you ridden it? Did it run faster for you? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there will be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.